Nerdiest Prime.
Drugs can make you feel good. They make you feel on top of the world. You're happy, sure of yourself, in control.
I guess I just don't understand.
Wesley, I hope you never do.
It felt really shoehorned in. It felt like that there was a committee that said, "Hey, can we put this in here to teach the kids of America that if they want to grow up big and strong like Starfleet's finest, that they should just say no and triumph over that adversity and rise above it, and they'll be awesome." It's kind of like when you're in school and the teachers are like, "Kids really love rap music," and then they try to make an education rap, and it's like, no, stop, never do this again. And that's what this speech felt like. I'm like, don't ever do this again.
Hi, welcome to this week's review of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And this week's episode is Symbiosis. I'm joined once again by the Nerdiest Prime crew, Alan in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Hello.
And Namir in Toronto, Ontario.
Hello.
And I'm here in the basement in Los Angeles.
Are you actually in a basement? You're actually in a basement?
I can't be in a basement. I'm in a high rise. Imagine if I was in the basement of a high rise.
That's actually the laundry room.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Symbiosis. The Enterprise is trying to blind themselves while looking straight into a sun on the view screen when they get a distress call from a couple of the biggest alien simpletons ever encountered by the Federation. The crew try to provide tech support to these Onaran dummies, but it's like explaining particle physics to a goldfish. Their ship is about to explode, so the Enterprise beams them off the ship to save their lives and cargo. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff happens with alien drug dealers exploiting crackhead alien neighbors, suffering withdrawal, and who both have kinda cool, but never explained electric hand powers. But let's get to that really classic scene that people remember this episode for. We're treated to a just say no to drugs PSA that is shoehorned into the episode so gently. It's like slipping Cinderella's glass slipper onto WWF superstar Andre the Giant's size 24 feet. Wesley regresses to 1950s gee whiz kid from the likes of Leave It to Beaver to question why people like to do drugs. And after Tasha Yar makes a compelling case for why it's awesome, she tells Wesley not to do it. Probably because she realizes he is a huge dweeb and would just make it lame for all the cool kids. Nancy Reagan was probably so proud of this scene.
Just say no.
I'm sure it turned the tide in the war on drugs for an entire generation. Oh wait. So the aliens don't really solve any of their problems, and Picard basically dumps them off the Enterprise right into Shit Creek without a paddle for their boat. He refuses to give them any spare parts for their broken, shitty spaceships, which means that the space drugs won't be able to get from one planet to the other, causing billions to suffer withdrawal simultaneously. That sounds like a swell time. So enjoy your planet-wide societal upheaval, aliens. We're off to look at more space clouds, or attend a conference or some shit. Peace out. But wait, Tasha Yar wants to wave bye to everyone after dying in the previous episode, and somehow still came into work the following week anyway, like Bruce Willis from The Sixth Sense. Wait, are we high?
So, let's start with Alan. What did you think of this episode?
Oh, that would be me.
Are we high?
I really want to let kids know that illegal drugs are bad news.
Yes, David, it's true. Over 100,000 teenagers were admitted into hospitals last year because of drugs.
This is one of the better ones in the first season. I always like this one, even though it's got a good helping of cheese throughout, but it's a solid story, and I I like the using the Prime Directive as a clever device at the end for dealing with their situation. So yeah, this one is a good one. I didn't have a good ending sentence for that.
That's okay.
Next.
All right.
Fix that
I guess
post.
there's no post. We're doing this on Zoom. So I guess that's me. So okay, yeah, I liked it, and you guys know me. I like a lot of the first season episodes, and this is one of them. And it's another one where actually I thought I wouldn't like it because I did remember some of it when I first saw it, but I ended up liking it quite a bit. And I think it's, my sensibilities are different now, and so I really enjoyed it.
Are you trying to say that you've matured over the years?
I maybe, I don't know, something's changed. I mean, definitely things have changed.
you have hair where it wasn't before.
Yeah, and no hair where I want it.
Where would that be?
You seem like you have a nice full head of hair.
On my head and my right here. I used to have much thicker eyebrows. Now they're kind of shortening. They're kind of going loop, until I'm going to have a little bit of hair right here.
Well, you could turn them into like Spock eyebrows pretty soon, because you won't have to shave these ends. You could just keep it going.
Oh, like this? I think I could just basically do that. See?
Yeah, it's already there. Yeah.
Wow, that's like a talent.
You just gotta walk around looking surprised all the time, and you got it. You got that look. Like, I can't do that. My eyebrows, they're very pale anyway.
I think I could do one too. Hang on.
Oh, just like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. If Lucas doesn't know who Dwayne Johnson is.
Yeah,
He's a gecko.
He was in that episode of Voyager.
Oh yeah, that's what he's known for.
Wait, was he?
He was.
Yeah. What was the name of that episode he was in?
Zungatzi.
Oh, that's the name. That's what I thought it was called. But I get that one and The Fight mixed up. Because
It
they both
was
have
boring.
They both
Was it
have
a cameo
combat.
or it was?
Yeah, it
or
was kind of a
like
cameo.
Got it.
No. He was like the wrestling.
Well, there was
opponent,
seven. There was like a tournament of fighters and stuff. So.
And
UPN aired wrestling at the time. The SmackDown was big in the early 2000s or late 90s. I guess it would be late 90s. And so they just put Dwayne Johnson as a cross promotion into Voyager. Good old UPN. They know their audience.
So many people were watching Voyager at the time.
It was basically Voyager and wrestling was what all UPN was.
Illegal drugs are bad news. Don't mess with them.
Okay, I thought I also have appreciated this episode more and more over the years. I've watched this episode many times with Alan. I enjoyed this viewing even more. It's even more layered. Okay, let's start with that's not specific to this episode, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is those black foam things that are stuck on the glass in the back of the bridge. Are you guys noticing those?
Were they in the shape of an elephant?
I thought you were going to talk about anti-drug speech, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I think they were having lighting issues in the first season, and with reflections of lights or gear or whatever. So their big solution was to put like cutout pieces of black foam and stick them onto those consoles in the back row. And when it was standard definition, you can notice them because it just wasn't high definition enough. But now that these episodes are all in HD, they're painfully obvious that there are all this gaffer black foam like kind of like been cut and pasted all over, like to hide all the reflections basically. And I'm always like seeing them and going like, I'm gonna just pretend that's not there, but it's a real like breaking the fourth wall thing. But it's good that you have.
I've never once seen that. Not
Wow,
once.
I've watched this episode a zillion times and I've never noticed that either.
Okay, I'm glad we had this talk.
Man, I feel like he's got one up on us this time. I'm like,
I
geez.
kind of want to look. I kind of want to do a web search now.
Yeah, kind of got to rewatch that.
And it's not just this. It's not this. Well, you can just watch. It's like probably the next episode is gonna happen because it's like it's been all season. This is just the first time that I've mentioned it.
Wow. Nope.
Freighter, we're going to lock on the tractor beam and pull you out of orbit.
Hey, that's great.
I don't go through all this to impress other people. I do it because I care about me. I care about my body and my health. But most importantly, I care about feeling good about myself. That's why I would never, ever take illegal drugs.
I don't know if this episode is trying to be funny, but at least the first, quarter of the episode is hilarious when the ship is falling into the atmosphere and they're asking for help, and they get him on the comm, and they're just acting so high. They're like, hello, we need help.
Do that.
Yeah,
they're like proto Pac-Leds. It's like it feels like the Pac-Leds like a year before they actually made their first appearance.
Yeah.
We need to fix our ship. I don't know anything about it.
It's also kind of like a stereotypical and really limited view of being high, because I have great ideas when I'm high.
You get high, Namir?
At the time.
I'm surprised.
Then in the sober light of day, they seem not as brilliant as they might have once.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I have a watch and dried macaroni and some tape. What was I building?
But yeah, they're definitely like a stereotypical meth head types.
Yeah. But it kind of worked, and I think that it sort of was of the time, right, in the 80s, when kind of that's what people thought people who were drug users, were like, unless they were on Wall Street and on coke, but this was sort of like a little bit different, and I think it was a lot like the last episode, where the last episode was sort of maybe a commentary on like the Reagan era, Iran-Contra, kind of selling weapons kind of thing. This was almost like a commentary on the war on drugs. So, so you can appreciate Star Trek trying to do what Star Trek does well, which is talk about what's happening in the world around them, contextualized within science fiction. So that to me is kind of where this episode came from, and why there were so like actors going like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to act when I'm high. Hey, and it's not that, maybe that's not really it. Like, you guys aren't like that when you're high.
I don't remember.
No, I don't forget stuff. I don't forget how to do my job.
I know how to drive I know how to drive a spaceship.
Yeah, you don't really need to know anything, because you can just walk into it in Star Trek. You can just walk into any alien spacecraft and automatically recognize that that's a thruster control, that's a torpedo launcher, and it's all those weird symbols, and everything is
easily identifiable, no matter who you are or what state of mind you're in.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe that's the secret. It's just you just have to be stoned all the time. You get stoned before you go onto like another ship, and you're like, oh, I get all of this. All of this makes sense. I understand the galaxy. But it was funny, yeah. It was funny meeting that you had all these straight-laced Starfleet types just dealing with stoner freighter crews, and it was funny to watch them kind of like, what? Why don't you know how to work your ship? This is everybody knows how to work their ship that we meet. And yeah, just Picard's reaction, that was great. This was an episode where I really enjoyed the guest performances and the performances amongst the main cast. Like, it didn't feel as wooden and silly as some of the other offerings earlier in the season. Like, they seemed like everybody was comfortable and they had a decent script. I mean, I know they shoehorned that speech in later on that we'll talk about, I'm sure, but for the most part, it was a good episode for that performances.
Are you high right now, Alan?
That's just me. Normally, I can't talk.
I wish I was now, he says.
I'm much more coherent in the written word than talking to people.
Were you going to say anything, Namir?
No, I'm waiting for you to say something. You've been oddly quiet.
Half impulse.
I serve 1/2 impulse.
Our main viewer. Ask out the photosphere.
Who thought? Okay, talking about silly things in the opening, you're talking about this black foam that we didn't see, but I thought it was funny when they're looking at those solar flares and everybody's acting like they're being blinded, like because doing some totally original series overacting, like, oh, there's a bright light, like, and then they put that black dot just slowly moves into place. Like, that was good. That was the problem.
That was the best part of the opening. That little black dot that somebody was supposed to put right on the sun, but they missed. And then they're like, uh-oh.
It's like,
just a second.
Yeah. You'd think they would just have some sort of screen filter,
I know,
for watching solar events.
Just turn down the brightness. Just turn down the brightness. That's all you gotta do. And there were just like solar flares. Like, solar flares are everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And they are in space, so they must see solar flares all the time. But
they were acting like it was something they'd never seen before. I'm like, isn't this just how suns are?
No, I think Riker was like, it's like the biggest solar flare they've seen in a long time. Which kind of seemed out of place.
They were just throwing out space words. I'm like, let's have them look at a sun this week. A corona.
Yeah.
Well, radiation. UV.
Okay, but those are all real words. In the real that
they
people
look at
use.
astronomy books for space words, and it's like astronomy. It's like, this week they'll see a nebula.
But those are real words. They're not making.
Well, I know they're real
up.
words, but it's like they just probably look for space stuff for them to go do sciencey space stuff with.
That's true, because I guess that was the excuse, was they needed to get closer to that sun to observe the giant solar flare, and then that's when they saw the ship that was in trouble.
No, the ship was behind them. The ship was
No,
around
I don't think so.
I'm going to quote: "The ship is around the 4th planet, but the relay station is on the 3rd planet." And then they decide, they go, we need to get there. Warp 2. Okay, so they're going to go to warp in the inside of a solar system, and then they cut to the Enterprise, and you see all these stars streaking by, and I'm like, are they on the other side? They overshot.
We really overshot that.
Maybe it was they didn't show the U-turn part of that. But I thought they went closer to the sun. I'm totally remembering this differently. I thought they went closer to the sun. They blocked off the sun, and they were like, "Oh, there's a ship in there. It's in trouble." But they couldn't see it because of the solar flares, and then they.
Well, there was some radiation or something that was affecting things in the system, like solar wind. I'm sure they threw out some sort of more astronomy jargon.
I thought, I thought it was a bit of a weak teaser, to be honest. But once we get in the episode, it's good. I have to say, okay, let me. I'm going to throw a couple of keywords out. Space coke dealers.
We have thought about this a great deal.
We both feel deeply about what is happening on Onara.
And although it is going to cause hardship to us, and to our people, we have decided to give the Felicium to them.
They can pay whenever they're able.
There goes the other shoe. They know that Felicium is no longer a medicine.
They were well dressed.
Yeah, they were.
They were snazzy dressers. Yeah.
They totally were like 80s versions of space coke dealers. They were like, they had the snazzy, they were all well dressed, and they're like,
yeah.
Hey, you want to get high?
Yeah, they were definitely living in Miami.
in the 80s.
In the 80s.
And I thought it, and it was interesting how the casting was interesting because they got two actors from Star Trek 2 that were kind of the same types of roles on each side. So the guy who played Kirk's son and the guy who was kind of like Khan's son. And then they were kind of both in this episode kind of in opposition, which I thought was really interesting that they would choose to do that.
Yeah.
And was that the guy that played? That was the guy who played Kirk's son. Which guy?
The John, the freighter captain. He was David Marcus.
Oh, really? No, interesting.
I mean, he has different hair because he had like the curly hair, and then he had like moppy hair in this one.
And he had stubble in this one. He looked generally homeless.
Yeah, he went from acclaimed scientist to space meth head. So
which is kind of what would happen if you started off as an acclaimed scientist and got hooked on meth. You would just kind of become this guy. Oh, that's good.
And if you took pictures of yourself at those points of your life, you would look like two different people as well. So there you go.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a really good job. I liked all the performances. I thought they did a good job, kind of mimicking what withdrawal symptoms would look like. And it's cool because you're watching and you're like, oh yeah, they're going through withdrawal and nobody else is kind of picking up on it until Crusher does. Right? Crusher is sort of once again the like, oh, something's not right here.
So I love that moment where they like, we have a plague, and Picard's look on his face is like, oh shit,
yeah,
a plague.
It's like, why aren't you in quarantine? They just let these guys come up and it's like, here's a tour of the ship. Let's go for a meal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, again, no PPE in the show at all. No procedures for bringing new life forms on board. Just like, sure.
Picard's thinking like, what have I touched? What have I licked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even go in a nursing home here without giving him my whole life story, with COVID. It's like, do you have COVID? Do you know anyone has COVID? It's like, sign your name. Give us your phone number. Name all your children. It's like a questionnaire every place you go. So it's like, but here it's like, yeah, we don't know you, but here, come on board.
Yeah, it is weird that they don't really have protocols, right? Like when people come on board, they don't isolate them for like,
The biofilter got it. I'm like, how do you know the biofilter got it? You're a new space alien that we never met before. You might have something that our filters doesn't recognize. And I think Crusher even says that, or somebody mentions it. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. So there still should be a quarantine period, even if you're bringing them through these filters when you beam them up.
What they were saying was because of the solar flares that and the bad transporter lock, they weren't sure that the filters were working properly at the time. Because usually the filters would screen any of that kind of stuff out.
But
how would they know what was good and what was bad?
How would they know?
In their body. It's like if they beamed up a Trill. It's like if they took it to Symbiont. I'm like, oh, there was a parasite in you. You got rid of that. It's like, no, I need that. That makes no sense.
But anyway, that's a really good point. But I guess they. Does that come up after the first season, like the biofilters? Other than
yeah.
Like I know that episode with Pulaski is sort of where it really kind of shines. But other than that,
yeah,
like,
it
they're
comes
just
up at
beaming
any
people up
time.
and down willy nilly, right?
Anytime
much.
they need it to to matter for the plot, then they bring it up. And then they don't.
Exactly.
I can't tell you every time that they bring it up, but it's once in a while. I'm pretty sure they brought it up in Voyager, and I'm pretty sure they brought it up in Deep Space Nine, and I'm pretty sure they brought it up later in Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach.
May I say how amazing the wallpaper is in the Enterprise and the artwork?
What?
Oh yeah.
The wallpaper and the artwork. Is it because you're watching this in HD again?
Well, some of the walls are just upholstered. I like that. It's like sometimes it's wallpaper, sometimes it's upholstery, sometimes it's painted wood.
I think it's things that I always noticed, but for some reason, I felt like this episode was the right episode to bring them up.
I never noticed any of this stuff. Honestly,
the scene where they're all the space coke dealers are like talking to Picard, and they're all like, "Such a nice ship you have," and blah blah blah. And then I was like, "Oh, that is a nice ship." And I look in the background, and I'm like, "Wow, that wallpaper is something else." You have to look at it. I can't even describe what it is.
Oh yeah, the whole ship always reminds me of my dentist's office from the 80s. Yeah. It's like, there's like a little chair in the corner with a plant, and it looks like there's little reading nooks in the hall for the crew. I don't know what all the.
What I love is
it's very comforting.
Yeah.
What I like is that they're in space, and every room in the Enterprise has pictures of outer space.
Yes, this Picard's room has that weird space station, and he had that for a while.
Oh, that's
they never really
nice,
say what that is.
But
behind his desk.
But it's funny though, because you think about it. It's
but
like
later on, they didn't do that.
It's like if on my wall I had pictures of buildings in LA or something. Which if you think about it,
people would have pictures of buildings. Like we live in Toronto, but you can have pictures of Toronto, or I live in Toronto, and you can have pictures of Toronto in your living room.
Do you know that when I go to IKEA here, some of the pictures that you can buy in the picture and frame sections are pictures of Toronto?
Really? Wouldn't it be weird if you went to IKEA and some of the pictures you could buy was like a picture of you? And you're like, what?
They call that a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
So Data does that like.
Anyway. Sorry.
Data does a Spock joke in this episode, I noticed. Where there was like ongoing Spock joke in the original series where somebody would say, "It'll take us 12 hours," and then Spock would be like, 12.25956 hours exactly. And Data starts doing that thing where he starts doing that, and then Picard goes, "Data."
Is this the one where he goes that's not relevant to the situation or something?
Oh no, that's so good. No, that's another episode. I think it's something that we already reviewed.
Yeah, I feel like we just recently saw that. Yeah.
No. I think that was Code of Honor. Yeah, it was Code of Honor when he starts talking about the difference between this and that, whatever, and he turns around to start doing the explanation, and Picard just goes like, and Data says, "Which is not important at this time." I'll find that clip. I'll put that in the review so people they'll know I'm not making it up.
It reads similar to early Starfleet efforts, but uses the Heglanian shift to convert energy and matter in different... Which is actually not important at this time.
I thought that I liked the whole allegory with like drug dealers and and all, and drug addiction and all that sort of stuff. I think the only part that I really don't like is they kind of hammer it on the head a little bit too much. And so we'll in a second we'll talk about the drug speech, but that drug speech is it's kind of so ridiculous that it's funny and it's great to see in the episode. But the part that I don't like is when they really feel like Crusher has to underline it, and he's like, and she turns to Picard and she says, "The whole planet are drug addicts." Like, you didn't have to say it like that. Like,
Felicium's a narcotic.
Then to Jean and Romas and everyone on their world.
He's a drug addict.
Okay, say no to drugs. That's what I gotta say. Just say no to drug speech and go.
Oh boy.
I can understand how this could happen to the Arnarans. What I can't understand is why anyone would voluntarily become dependent on a chemical.
Voluntary addiction to drugs is a recurrent theme in many cultures.
Wesley, no one wants to become dependent. That happens later.
But it does happen, so why do people start?
You have to understand, drugs can make you feel good. They make you feel on top of the world. You're happy, sure of yourself, in control.
But it's artificial.
It doesn't feel artificial until the drug wears off. Then you pay the price. Before you know it, you're taking the drug not to feel good, but to keep from feeling bad.
I guess I just don't understand.
Wesley, I hope you never do.
It's the most Tasha gets to talk in the whole series, and it's just too much. It felt really shoehorned in. It felt like that there was a committee that said, "Hey, can we put this in here to teach the kids of America that if they want to grow up big and strong like Starfleet's finest, that they should just say no and triumph over that adversity and rise above it, and they'll be awesome." I'm like, it just felt really, really lame. Like it's kind of like when you're in school and the teachers are like, "Kids really love rap music," and then they try to make an education rap, and it's like, no, stop, never do this again. And that's what this speech felt like. I'm like, it's like, don't ever do this again. You come up with a more clever way to deliver this message without beating us over the head with this lame ass, speech to the audience representative character, that we have in Wesley. So,
well, the whole episode is basically that, right? They didn't even need to do the speech, right? Like, nobody's gonna watch this episode and look at the drug addicts and go, "Oh yeah, I want to do that." That was like a lot of fun. So it was totally redundant. It was, I think Tasha delivered it well. It was fine.
She did as good as she could with it.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of get where she probably came from, because like her backstory is that she comes, she's a troubled youth that is able to kind of straighten up her life, kind of thing. But it's just so awkward. Like Wesley's doing something, and then he turns and says, "I don't understand why people take drugs." I just don't get it.
Well, my favorite part of that scene is if there's a cutaway to Data, kind of going like, "What the hell's going on here?" It's like he's aware of like something's off. It's like
that's Brent Spiner. He's like, "I wish I wasn't in this scene."
he slowly backs away out of the camera shot. Just like,
oh man, yeah. It's because it makes Wesley look really naive too. We had some good Wesley stories here recently with when the bow breaks and coming of age, and then you get this one. He just looks like a naive 8-year-old again. I'm like, "Mommy, what are drugs? What are drugs, Dad?"
Yeah.
It's what your dad died from.
No, he didn't. You said he went out for cigarettes.
Yeah. We all know Wesley's the best addiction episode is coming up in season 5, when everybody's addicted to that game.
The orgasm game.
Yeah, the orgasm game.
I don't remember that episode.
Oh, I love that one.
Guess what it's called? It's called The Game.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for it. Therefore, it's not yours. Damn you, sorry.
Behave yourselves, gentlemen.
So it's weird, that these aliens have like this X-Men kind of power, where they grab.
Oh, that
is
weird.
But it was cool. It was cool that they threw that in there.
I love the attack on Riker where he's like.
And then he gets let go and he's like, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. He just kind of brushes it off.
I just got electrocuted, but I'm good.
I'm fine. It happens all the time.
He's had a couple of bad things happen to him.
Here's jazz bar. I'm good.
Yeah, no. In the last episode in Arsenal of Freedom, he got cocooned, and it was the same thing. He was like,
yeah.
Maybe he's just really good at it.
Sorry?
Maybe Jonathan Frakes just has a really good, like, frozen face.
Yeah.
He does.
But just like they bring him in as the man. Yeah, they bring him in as the man of action, and he keeps getting his ass handed to him. He really doesn't do a whole lot of fighting. You know, when you think that he's like the Kirk type character in this show.
That's true. He's never double fisting anybody.
No.
I want him to do like a Kirk. You know when Kirk would like run up and do like and then kind of bounce off the wall and do like a sideways kick and take somebody down.
They never really did the two-fisted fighting in Next Generation though. It was always like they were doing like a palm thing. Like Worf was always hitting people. Like I think Riker might have did that too, where it's kind of like and just hit people in the chin and knock them out.
There was a lot of palm hitting.
Palm hitting, yeah, whatever they call that.
I think they call it martial arts.
It didn't look like it was martial arts.
Oh, I know. On top of there was another cool graphic on the view screen in this episode. There was that mask you guys were talking about that went over the sun, but also when they found the freighter later, they had a little bullseye magnified.
Yeah. It's one of the things that they use once and you never see again.
Yeah, they're just trying different things. They're like, what about this? What about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little holographic planet in the last outpost on the desk, and then like Crusher's skull cap device that they used early in the season. Yeah, they keep using stuff like once, and then it's like, no, this wasn't good. Then they get rid of it.
But I like that. I like it when they try new things. And I'm worried that in the later seasons that they just stop doing that a little bit. They're like,
they do. Yeah, it starts to become a formula after a while. But again, you're so enamored with these characters. It's all like a warm hug, even though it's a formula.
I think
a warm hug.
Yeah, you like warm hugs. I like a buffet, and you like warm hugs.
Yeah, I don't know if Alan, were you not hugged a lot as a child?
No, I don't hug a lot.
That's why you need Star Trek.
That's you just hug your TV. That's it.
The warm glow.
The warm irradiated glow. Yeah.
That's terrific. I'm sure we can come to a fair deal for payment.
And Captain, we appreciate your gift of the coils.
Once our freighters are fixed, everything will be back to normal.
No. If you withhold those coils, you'll be disrupting the stability of both our planets.
And interfering with a trade agreement that has lasted for generations.
Do you want our world to suffer?
Oh, no. I don't want that.
I like the plot of how they handled the whole dilemma of, there's this conflict, these guys are drug addicts. They want the drugs, but the drug dealers don't want to give it to them because they haven't received payment, or the payment was destroyed in the ship when the ship blew up. And there's this whole sort of back and forth and negotiation, and the Prime Directive. And I really like the resolution. They wrote it really well.
Right. Remind me what happened. I saw this last week, and then we didn't review it because of the tiny storm that they had in the East Coast.
Oh yes, that's right. The hurricane.
The little spring rain shower.
Little
cross breeze.
But yeah, well, that was they basically, Picard confronts the Breckians, the drug dealers, because they know what it is, and then they find out that it did cure a plague, but then it made them addicted, and they took advantage of it, etc., etc. And then Picard says he can't interfere. They can't interfere, even though Crusher's like, we should interfere because he's bleeding heart.
I remember that. But then at the end, he turns it around on them, and I can't remember what that is.
Well, that's just it. Yeah,
he took away the aid. He was going to give them things to fix their spaceships. And he says, no, you can't have that anymore. I'm taking it back.
Yeah, the Prime Directive works both ways.
I can't help you, and I can't help you.
Oh, right. So, which meant that they would need to figure out how to fix it themselves if they wanted to fix it.
Right, but they don't know how to fix it, so that means that they're all going to go, the whole planet's going to go through withdrawal, but then they'll be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows how to fix the ship.
Right. And Crusher was like, if they just wait, 3 weeks or something, they'll all be fine. They just don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's they kind of treat the whole planet like a teenager. I
know. I feel like this is kind of like how I mentioned at the end of Encounter Farpoint. They just zoom away on their merry way, and the Bandy are all destroyed. Their city is in rubble. And this one, it's like, yeah, we'll just let them all go through withdrawal, and it'll be fine. I'm like, that's going to create a lot of chaos if millions or billions of people go through withdrawal and start killing each other because they have a little bit of the drug and this guy has none.
Yeah, it's going to be like a billion people seeing a baby crawling on their ceiling, like in Trainspotting.
They're just going to be all strung out, all freaking out, and just killing each other, probably just looting and looking desperately for these drugs.
And Picard's like, job well done.
Yep, true. Some
Engaged.
didn't survive. And it's like, and I didn't understand too, which I felt was kind of silly, is that they say, the Breckians say, this drug is our only industry. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How can it be your only industry? And they say the Onarans furnish them with everything they need. I'm like, are you serious? Because there's a food industry, building industry. I'm like, do they send all the lumber you need to build your buildings? Do they send all the food you eat? Do they send all the fish that you would eat? Do they send all the fuel you would use to power your infrastructure?
Well, but
all
that's
the medical supplies. Are these methods responsible for all their stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of the implication, right? But when they talk about payment, you just kind of assume it's just money, right? But what are they going to spend money on? The money's just going to go back to the Breckians.
Well, they said it was in their cargo hold. That's what was in the ship. I'm but how many crates of fish were in that? How many tuna cans were in there?
And how many people and how are they supplying this planet with everything they need? That's not the drug, because that's their only export, only industry. With a few broken down freighters, that's expecting all of North America to be supplied by 3 rundown cargo boats coming across the Atlantic Ocean once in a while, if it works. And we just don't do anything here. We're just waiting for it. We're not going to go fishing. We're not hunting. We're not chopping down trees. We're just waiting for this boat to show up.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
No, that the economic part of that definitely doesn't make sense. Yeah. But I guess it's one of those things where you can't really think about it too hard.
It's like we talked about with
It falls
Andor,
apart.
where the Star Wars planet's like the shipbuilding planet, the ship
Yeah.
taking apart planet. This is the drug making planet, and this is the natural resource planet, and they just trade, and it all works
No,
out.
it's not. It's not the natural resource planet. It's the drug addict planet.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where they get all their stuff from.
But they get everything from there.
Like, I couldn't imagine being a well-off society and just relying on meth heads to supply everything you need.
You know, the other question I had, like, just from a larger Star Trek universe perspective, is why doesn't everybody have a replicator?
Well, because it's only the societies that have the technology to invent it that have it, because the people that have it don't share it with societies that don't have that technology.
Yeah, because they don't know if they're just going to make drugs and guns.
So
yeah, drugs and drugs.
So the societies that don't have it are like, wait a second, you have a thing that can make anything, and you're not giving it to us? And and the Federation's like, yeah.
Don't you remember that?
Nah.
Don't you remember that episode of the Orville, where that's what happened? The last episode of the last season of the third season, where she tries to that girl tries to bring a replicator technology back to the TikTok planet, and then she brings it to the hall. She brings it to the holodeck and she says, "This is what happened." And she shows them, like, she just basically shows her L.A. and then 3 years later, this is what it looked like, and it's like totally blown up. It's like because they introduced replicators because they just weren't, they didn't have the wisdom.
but that planet, that society didn't have space travel, right? Like it was like essentially society like our society right now, right? Like the drug dealer planet and the addict planet, they had space travel, right? So they kind of were semi-advanced.
Namir, I'm going to call the Prime Director Police on you if you keep talking like this.
Okay, well, I guess it just never made sense to me. I just didn't get it. Like, any planet, any civilization that has space travel should have a replicator, I think.
Well, no, because replicators were only invented during the Next Generation era. During the Kirk era, they didn't have replicators. They had something like called food synthesizers, slots. But my impression is there was a kitchen somewhere, and they made the food, and they just put it in the elevator.
It just fell out. Like, here's your plate full of colorful cubes.
Yeah, because they you know, in the Charlie X episode, they call down to the galley and they're like, "We got turkeys everywhere." Do you remember that?
You turn them into colorful shapes.
Right.
It's like, here's your Thanksgiving dinner. It's a red ball and a blue
So
cube.
they didn't have a thing where they didn't turn poop into food. They just
No,
had
that happened. That was like a new thing, like Worf. What they got was the Ferengi, Worf, and replicators.
And the holodeck.
And the holodeck. Yeah, the holodeck. That was the best part, really.
All right. Interesting.
Okay, are we going to talk about the Tasha wave now? That's what I want to talk about.
Oh,
the Tasha wave. I don't remember. What?
Mind you, I never saw that until I read it about it, and then of course now I see it every time.
Yeah. So I'm the trivia guy, Alan. Okay.
I'm also the trivia guy.
I'll fight you for it.
I'll let you have this one. Go ahead.
No,
I receive
go ahead.
trivia. I receive and digest trivia.
Except when we talk about Andor, and then I noticed when I was editing the episode from the other day, and I was like, "Oh, tables are turned," because you were like, "Do you know what that is?" I know, but Namira, you're like, "Do you know what that is, Lucas?" And I'm like, "Oh no," because it was because it was the Simpsons stuff. And
right.
Everything got turned around.
Right.
Okay, no, you go ahead, Alan. I'm curious to see how you.
Naming, am I remembering it right? No, I mean Tasha Yar, Denise Crosby knew she was on her way out the door. She'd asked for release from her contract because she hated her role. He had nothing to do. But they shot this one after Skin of Evil, and then Skin of Evil, of course, airs after this. So this technically was her final shoot, and that was her wave, her sign off to the fans. That was her final scene before she left the lot, and then she gives a little "see you later."
What was the final scene?
Well, they're leaving the cargo bay at the end, and she's still in the back, in the cargo bay doing security stuff, and then she just jumps up and goes in the background.
Really? Oh man,
she kind of spoils the take, but they left it in.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, because I think it was the same thing. I didn't know until I read about it, and then one day, actually, I was watching it with Alan like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whatever it was, and then we were like, oh, isn't this the episode where she waves? And then we were watching for the wave, and it was like suddenly what was completely invisible before was like, woohoo!
Yeah, I'm watching it now. I'm watching it now. I'm watching it on the YouTubes. Hang on. Okay, they just beamed off. And then, Picard and Crusher
are walking out.
They're walking out. And then... Oh! That's amazing! That's hilarious. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so basically, and then she said, after this episode and Skin of Evil, like, it says, if I had got more episodes like this and material like this, where I actually had something to do, something to say, she would have stuck around. But because they're just wasting her character, that she just wanted out.
The thing is, I don't necessarily, because there are a lot of characters that aren't, in the forefront every episode, right? Like, was Worf even in this one?
Yeah, he had a shot in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Wesley had like one line, and I don't even remember seeing Geordi, so it's too bad because I think they do have episodes where they focus. The focus is usually Picard, right? And everybody else kind of gets their turn. So I think if she had,
it's like Picard and Data.
Well, later on, yeah, but I think if Denise Crosby had just waited, she would have gotten, like out of 7 seasons, she would have had some great episodes for sure.
Yeah, because they started rotating. Well, they learned that from when they went to do Deep Space Nine, because if you watch the first season of Deep Space Nine, it's like the first episode is the Cisco episode, and the second episode is the Kira episode, and the third episode is the Odo episode, and they kind of like highlight each character. And when they did Voyager, the same thing, just to be like, so everybody's happy, everybody gets an episode. And the first.
Well, also you can't write that much about one character, right? Like, just to make it easy on the writers, you have to switch it around because it's like 24 episodes per season. That's a lot.
26, but nobody's counting.
26. Oh my God, that's even worse. Jesus.
Yeah, I feel like she had one of the most interesting backstories, and they just didn't take advantage of that at all. Like, there would have been, if they had explored that more, had her go back to her colony world and do something. I mean, then they visited later for season 4, but it's too little, too late. Then they have to have Tasha, her sister, do stuff with the crew.
Is that what happened?
Too late.
I don't understand why they did that. Why didn't they just have it so that Tasha Yar survives?
Oh, I guess they die.
No, wait a second. Did they? Right.
I think did she ask for the I think she asked for the senseless death, didn't she? Like in the line of duty in her job that it would be sudden.
I don't want to interrupt, but let's just save this for next week because that's.
All right, I suppose. Yeah.
All right, fine.
That's true.
Okay. So, I love the episode. I thought the end was super cheesy, where they were like, they asked Picard, where to next? And he's kind of like, just anywhere. And then, which that in itself would have been like, oh, okay, that would have been fine because it's almost like he's kind of disgusted by the whole situation and he's just like, I don't care, like wherever you want. But then they have to add the tag where Geordi's like, boop, 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 boop. And Riker's like, where are we going? And Geordi's like, the blah, blah, blah system. I don't know what he said. It's like, why there? He's like, because we've never been there before. I was like, why don't you just say, because it's where no one has gone before.
I don't know. It's like, it seemed like that seemed weird too. Like, this shit doesn't have an itinerary of things you're supposed to check out.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
like basically me and my job, I have things I need to do, and then things happen each day that I have to react to. But I still have things that I'm going to do when this thing is done. So it seems weird that it's like,
Plus,
where
they
are we
had a
gonna go?
mission.
Like,
The mission is they were there to observe the sun or whatever, and then they just left.
I know, yeah.
What
Go
happened to
back
the mission?
Resume mission. Anyway, it was weird. Yeah, it was corny and weird. But,
Well, it's because they had a trope. It doesn't really exist anymore. But you know, back in the day, that was kind of the thing, the shtick. I don't know if it actually ever was a trope necessarily in the original series. Like, it's not like every episode they ended it with like, engage, Mr. Sulu, engage. Like in this, like they had to do the same thing. But by the time they got the Next Generation, they really had to like underline that. Almost every episode would end with like, engage. Like, we're going where no one has gone before. Engage. And
no, they're moving on to the next mission, right?
Yes, what I'm saying is that whole thing, the way that they handle it is like a trope, and even if it's not organic, they kind of tack it on like this episode, like they just totally tack that on.
I'm okay because I'm okay with that because I can't think of any other way to end that.
Because you're so cheesy. That's why.
No, like I mean, what's Picard gonna do? Like sit in his chair and go like this, and all the lights turn off. You know,
I think
they need to do something.
I think it just adds organically. Like if he had said, "I don't care where we go," and then everybody like understands the mood, like, oh, that wasn't a good day, and then like they just go toot, 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 and then the ship takes off. But they had to add that little tag at the end, which in some cases it actually really works, like at the end of the pilot or at the end of Where No One Has Gone Before, or so on and so forth. You know.
It did have kind of a pilot ending line or a season ending line. That's what it felt like. But we keep going.
Yeah, my favorite one, and we'll cover it. But my favorite one is the last episode of this season. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do our ratings because the sun's gone down and I'm losing my light. Go, Alan. Rate us.
Oh, me? But I didn't really think about what I wanted to give this one. But again, it's one of the stronger first season outings. So, but at the same time, there's still a lot of good stuff coming up that I like more. So, I'd give this one a 6 out of 10. I feel like it wasn't great, but it was decent. And, you know, I do rewatch this one quite a bit because I get a kick out of it. But, yeah, it's a little ham-fisted. But, yeah, I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Fantastic.
I have nothing else to say.
Namir.
You know, I really like this episode. I enjoyed watching it. I'm not giving it a... Lucas has got 10 fingers up. I'm not giving it a 10.
Leave politely.
No, you know what? I think I am going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7. Tentative 7.
You were going to say give it a 6. You just upgraded.
I was going to give it...
He just doesn't want to do the same as me. He's always going to be
okay.
You stole my 6.
So I was going to give it a 6.5, but the Tasha Yar wave pushes it to 7 for me. So I'm going to give it a 7.
I give it also a 6. It's almost a 7. It's pretty good. There's just some elements that are just a little cheesy in terms of the storyline that don't quite work, or you know, either overdrawn or overacted. Like, I think that there's a good story and message in it, but they kind of nail it a little too hard on the head, and that kind of makes it a 6 for me. But a good time.
All right.
A good episode to watch when you're high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it's
which means you didn't take anything away from it at all. Tasha's speech did not work.
I know
so hard
when she was
to change
when
lives.
She was giving that, she was giving that speech, and you know it's supposed to be like drugs are bad, but you can't help but think that she had some pretty good times on drugs. Like she was high a lot of her life.
Place of knowledge with when she speaks so passionately about it. It's like, they make you feel good. That's so really good a lot.
Yeah. And then she pauses to think about it, and then she's like, I'll be right back.
Drugs can make you feel good.
I guess I just don't understand.
Wesley, I hope you do.
Just where is our future? The things we've done instead. Let's just push the button, we'd be better off dead. 'Cause I hate you, and I berate you.
Fucking great! I love it! Don't! Or else! Okay?